title of my speech today is Back in the Day, and you guessed it, I'm going to be talking about my parents. I got the idea for the speech a couple of weeks ago. I was out and about with my mom, and I can remember the heat. And I looked at my mom and I go, "It is so hot." And she goes, "You bet your sweet Bippy." I have never heard anything like that. I turn to my mom and all I can say is, "What?" And she looks at me and she goes, "You bet your sweet Bippy. I used to say that back in the day." Oh, back in the day. I remember coming home that day and telling my sister Maya, for those of you who don't know, Maya is my older sister. And I tell her, I'm like, "Mom said, you bet your sweet Bippy." And she looks at me and she goes, "I'm not even surprised." My parents are kind of known for the little old-time gimmicks that they use around the house. No offense, Daddy. But I've just taken interest in this, and I decided, hey, what better way than to write a speech about it? So now that I've embarrassed my mom a little bit, let's move on to my dad. One thing that I can remember about my dad is Saturday. My mom and my dad were playing Uno cards. And I remember walking in the room, they were playing, and my mom was talking all this trash. And my mom looks at me and he goes, "Yo mama's selling wolf tickets." And for those of you who don't know, I had to have my dad explain it to me as well. I go, "Dad, what is selling wolf tickets?" And he goes, "Selling wolf tickets. She's talking trash. She's talking smack." Oh. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but okay. Another thing that I can remember about my dad is my mom's birthday. My mom recently had a birthday in July. And I remember my Uncle Matt came in. My Uncle Matt has known my dad probably longer than he's known my mom. He's a good family friend of ours, and he comes in and they're exchanging high fives and glances, and my dad looks at him and he goes, "Yeah, this is my ace boom coon." What? I look at my dad, I shrug my shoulders. My ace boom coon, my road dog, my partner in crime. I didn't know what to say after that. I calmly walked away to answer the door. And who else was at the door other than my cousin John? My cousin John is probably one of the most old schoolest people you will ever meet in your entire life. He comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, little cuz, give me some skin." I don't know how long it's been since I've heard that in my house. Yeah, I see a bunch of y'all adults laughing back there. Y'all know what that means. But for those of you who don't know what that means, that basically means a high five. And I had to have him explain it to me too. So I give him a high five, and during the party, I have a lot of my friends with me, so we're going upstairs, and the door is open. And for those of you who don't know, adults can be kind of loud when they get together. So we're up in my room, and we're just hearing all these old words, especially one that I still can't figure out. Someone yelled to the top of their lungs, "Jive turkey." I don't know how they used it or the exact moment. All I could remember was falling on the floor, just dying of laughter. Me and my friends were using it all night, even though we didn't know what it means. It just came up in conversations. One thing that I remember about that birthday party, we went down and we sang "Happy Birthday," and it was time to cut the cake. My Uncle Matt was cutting the cake, and he goes, "Who wants cake?" And my mom looked at him and she goes, "I can dig it." Now I know y'all have heard that before. I see y'all looking over here. Y'all know what that means. Another thing about my mom, I remember getting this really cool leather jacket. And she goes and she looks at me. I try it on and I'm turning around and she goes, "Now that is copacetic." I look at her, "What?" Back. I have probably heard her use it more this week than she did then. I'm not quite sure. One thing I can remember about my mom, her favorite term ever is the bomb diggity. What does that mean? It means good. That's one thing about my mom. Every time a meal is good, she will say, "This was the bomb diggity," or she will say, "Off the chain." I know I'm guilty of saying that a few times, but I'm not as guilty as saying it as much as my mom has. But I love my parents and their old school talk. I've actually learned to love it, and sometimes it's come up in my daily conversations. I've caught myself saying copacetic to a few of my friends. They'll look at me and, but you know, when you live in a house like that, I'm not even surprised. Mr. Toastmaster?